want to welcome everybody. It is 6 o'clock on the 2nd of March of 2026. This is the meeting of the Halifax Town Finance Committee. This meeting has been posted in accordance with the provisions of MGL 30A, Section 20B, and is being recorded and will be posted on the Area 58 Community Access Channel. The Finance Committee reasonably anticipates the following matters to be discussed and or voted on at this meeting, and some agenda items may be taken out of order for time management considerations. Committee members in attendance: Cheryl Burke, Mike Bennett, Frank Johnston, EJ Bryan on video, Mike Rignetta, Rod Hemingway, and myself, Jim Walters, with EJ on video. All votes will be done by roll call. So we will move into our first agenda item, which would be the review of agenda meeting minutes. We had two sets that we were going to look at. However, there are some corrections that need to be made to both of them. So we're going to push those to the next meeting once those corrections are made and validated by the Finance Committee. So with that said, we'll move right into our second agenda item, which is our budget reviews. So first on the hit parade is our library team. Awesome. I turn the floor over to you, sir.
Okay. So yeah, we had our original meeting about the library budget, and I put in a request for $367,400 for the FY27 budget, and that's mainly for the reason of the state certification of $367,386. I just rounded up the $14. We mainly discussed the importance of the certification process, and thankfully I was able to locate the documents with more in-detailed information on how to remain certified, what happens if you're not certified with the state. If you'd like, I could simply elaborate, because that is the core reason as why the library is asking for any specific value, is simply because state certification in the library world is incredibly important. Because if we do not meet certification, the residents of Halifax are not allowed to use libraries within the state of Massachusetts. So residents, all 7,700, and so residents would be unable to use any library within the state of Mass. And the MAR, municipal appropriation requirement, is decided by taking this fiscal year, and the two previous budgets that were allocated, adding them together, dividing by 3, and multiplying by 1.025% increase. And that's how I got the magic number. Mainly, I didn't submit a level fund simply because there's an increase required to keep certification. And the certification requirement is essential because our library functionality would cease. I would say I think it's around 60% of all of our items that we check out are from neighboring libraries that are sent to us via transit. We would also lose access to the Sales Library Network Consortium, which has a pretty massive return of last year. It cost $18,000 to be in the consortium, and of items checked out through the Sales Library Network, they came to an estimated value of about $406,000, which was really high. But the math on that is a little weird. They used an average of a book being $17 to purchase, which the average book is closer to 30. So I want to say that's lower. But at the same time, as the library, we buy books through Ingram, and they give us about a 44% discount on average per item. So we're never paying the retail price for an item, which I was like, okay, that's probably why they did that. But yeah, I have my main question is I just wanted to know, do you have any questions for me about this? Because this is just essentially moving some monies around. The only real money moving around is from my line, because with the previous director having left, there's more money than needed in the director line. And I'd rather move that into electrical just because we were getting, for this fiscal year, pretty close with the electric line, and I assume things are only going to get a little bit more expensive. Yeah. Besides that, of the money that's increasing this fiscal year, it's only $6,870 more dollars, and the majority of it is just going into step increases for my staff. A little bit more in materials, because since we have to spend exactly 16% of our budget on materials for patrons. So that because the overall budget is increasing, that increase needs to take place. And then of the remaining increase in money, it's going to go to office supplies simply because we're running into an issue this fiscal year where for example, the book protectors that we wrap the books in are $120 for one roll, and we can go through one roll in 2 months. So I just wanted to put a little extra money into that line to ensure that books can still be processed and aren't immediately destroyed if a big train accidentally drops it at the beach, which happens a lot in the summer.
I had a question. The electrical line you're talking about, is that just to pay the electrical bill, or is that the electrical upgrades, repairs? What's that line?
It's named electrical, but it's like electrical and utilities from how I've come to understand it. So thankfully, I've since learned, because when I originally took the position, when I was in Avon, when I was paying bills, we had an electrical line. It paid gas and electric. I've since learned that electrical and its expenses come out of that line. And the majority of gas expenditure actually comes out of Scott's budget. So I was like, okay, well, that's good to know, because I was afraid we were going to be like very in the red after going through winter. And now it's looking like, well, just to make it perfectly. I was like, thank goodness.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome.
You're referring to electricity, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, not electrical.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So 16,000 is your request for 27th?
For the electrical line,
Electricity?
5977, so 16,000. Nothing.
yeah. I just rounded everything to a flat. Simply because, yeah, 16,000 flat. That's what I put in the request. 15,977 was for the situation with the 10% budget reduction, which I put some notes at the bottom explaining why the budget reduction looks the way it does, which is simply, so we are open 41 hours instead of 25 to 39 because that allows for the library to have higher staffing so we can perform more programs and events, which is where we're seeing the majority of our patron usage coming from. But we also have to spend less on materials. So if, for example, I had to let go of staff, and I said I can only be open 39 hours now, I have to shave 2 hours off the clock. Then 19% of my entire budget would have to go to materials, and then I wouldn't have the money to pay for another staff member. So it would sort of snowball into a situation where we potentially have to lose 2 whole staff members to ensure that we meet that 19% materials requirement by the state to keep certification, because the goal is just to simply keep certification, or else.
There's no exception to this by the state?
There's a waiver process for the library. It's within a 5% cut of the highest appointed. So, for example, if the school gets a 3% increase, the library can take a 2% cut. But if let's say, for example, the school, the town entity that gets the most increase in money gets a 0% increase, then the library can take a 5% cut. Mm-hmm. If not, you're not allowed to do the waiver process. You can have weird situations where it's reviewed. There was actually one in Norfolk this year, which was multiple staff members retiring and having a lot of vacation time, which made it look like they had spent a very large sum of money on their library. So then when they were going to get recertified, it looked as if they were taking more than a 5% cut. It was actual just that town monies had to be put into the library because they were basically paying for staff members that retired in June. And that's something that would happen at the state level with the MBLC.
Speak. I also noticed the library trustee, and just to underscore what Dylan is talking about with a waiver. First of all, we're in a very good network. The sales consortium is incredibly. First of all, it's the biggest one in the state, and it's very rich in resources. So we're really part of something that provides our patrons with an enormous amount of value. And I've been in the library world for over 30 years and watched libraries choose waiver. And once you choose that waiver, it's very, very, very tough to come back. It's like not doing your basic scheduled maintenance kind of thing. It's very difficult to make that. One of the most dramatic ones was Bridgewater a number of years ago. Bridgewater suffered a great deal, and they cut an enormous amount of staff, library staff. And we all watched in horror as their library and their programming shrank considerably. And that they've been like a regional hub, like all interlibrary loans have been made to Bridgewater. So everybody suffered a little bit. And then to watch them have to build back up again, it's taken them like 20 years, like to build back up to to where they had been before. So, I just really urge caution when considering the waiver process, because once you go down that road, it's extremely difficult to come back.
Yeah, Bridgewater in 2008 was actually decertified after going through the waiver process for years because it was slowly heading downhill. And currently, they still do not have the same level of checkouts or patron usage simply because people from neighboring towns stop going to you because you're decertified and your residents can't go to neighboring towns either. And to this day, I believe they went from having over 20 staff members to they currently have 6 on a 3-story building, which is kind of wild to me. But their attendance, their checkout numbers, their overall usage is way down. And since the library's value is by how much the population uses it, really put them in a bad spot that they have not recovered from.
Halifax never had to do a waiver in all the 40 years that I've been living here. And we're kind of proud of that. It's still an extremely tight budget. I also want to point out that when Dylan came on as director, he has worked really closely with Scott on the building and discovered that we weren't adjusting our temperatures, internal temperatures, for when we weren't in, when there was no one in the building. It was maintaining the same temperature 24/7. And he saw that. And then, now we're on a schedule for electrical usage. So we're actually getting much more bang for our buck with electricity now that Dylan has checked into that.
Nice.
It's a 10% saving, which is a free month after 10 months in my eyes. So I was just like, what do you mean you are doing? It's like, excuse me.
No, can you restate just the way the 5%, how that reduction works? If we were to apply for the waiver, it's 5% off.
Yes, it's if you don't hit the amount requested, well, the minimum amount required by the sign up, which is 367, 386. If you don't hit that exact bar, we have to apply for a waiver to see if the state will allow us to remain certified. And the main thing that they look at is to see if the library was treated fairly or unfairly. And their definition of unfairly is, are you within 5% of the office that got the most? So, for example, if the school gets a 10% increase, anything lower than that request is unfair, and they decertify you immediately.
So essentially, if the school got the most, just to say got 10% increase, and you applied for waiver, you would still then get a 5% increase because it would be 5% less than the 10% of the school.
If any entity in this town gets a 5% increase and you do not give me the MAR, we are decertified because we are not within the 5% reach of the highest, most gaming office. If that makes more sense.
Does the library have any revenue generating activities going on?
Currently, the only major revenues are basically fines and overdue fees, which we currently do not. We're fine free, but if people return items to a neighboring library, the search map hasn't been modified, meaning the person will still be fined for it. And most people, if they get fined $1, $2, or whatever, they just immediately pay it. And then we receive those monies in the form of a check once a month. And then I just submit them to the general fund. If the town, for revenue generators at the library, the two that I'm most aware of that are most successful are passport and notary. It's something that I've discussed with the staff because for both of them, I would be comfortable with at least 2 staff members myself and hopefully the assistant director or another staff member being able to do it simply so that way we have an expanded network of people where, let's say I get sick with flu, we don't want that service to be down for a week. At least someone else would be able to do it. And I'm hoping that in FY27, we'd hopefully be able to do that because another staff member has showed that they are interested. And I know West Bridgewater.
Yeah, we did it. It was very successful. But I do have to caution you, the federal government is starting to say no to libraries processing passports, which is really too bad. Hopefully that will not continue, but
Yeah, my wife works at the West Bridgewater Public Library where they do sometimes up to 4 in a day. And I believe it's $35 revenue per person that goes through. I was like, that's a pretty, if I can get 4 people a day, that's a pretty good sum of money. But
when we instituted that at West Bridgewater, we used those monies not for the operating budget. We used it for capital expenses. So I was able to end up making all of the lighting, LED lighting within the building, which is really great. Bit by bit, as the passport money came in. It's certainly something to look into, but it doesn't, it's not a good idea to use it for operating because it's unreliable.
Mhm.
And then we went through COVID, of course, it shut down. So it's not a reliable source of regular generation of it, but it is really convenient to look into if you have the staff.
Is that a service you're currently actively offering, or are you waiting for the second person to?
currently not offering, we're looking into hopefully starting it sometime next fiscal year.
Okay.
Because we want to expand our services. It's just sort of like, this is why we're here. So if people want it, why not?
You also have to have plenty of staff though to
Yeah.
take care of other things because processing a passport, from my experience, it takes a good 45 minutes to an hour per passport because you've got to do all this checking and the picture taking and, it's worth it, if you have the staff,
Yeah.
but you can't do it on a shoestring staff situation. But it's certainly worth looking into. But again, currently, I think, I'm not sure if it was looking into because the federal government is saying no library processing. So I'm not sure how fair that is in the cycle, but I saw it come up in my news feed and I was like, light bulbs flashing. I was like, what?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
And besides just a comment, besides the whole certification process and the doom and gloom that they say your citizens can't use libraries anymore, the other main benefit of getting certified by the state is to then give you the library grant, the library incentive grant, which currently been awarded over $12,000 this fiscal year. And we're going to be awarded another half sometime.
Is that a discretionary disbursement?
Yes, it's given for the sole purpose of the director decides how the money is used. It's
I
outside.
meant from the state.
Yes,
Is it discretionary?
in the library. Sorry.
So is that something that's required legislatively? Or is this something that, the state gives as, a goodwill gesture?
It's given to those libraries that are certified,
Uh-huh,
and is based on population.
uh-huh.
But it's also at the whim of the legislature. That it's not a fixed amount. It changes year to year. So there again, it's wise not to use those grant funds for
Mhm.
fixed costs. It's
Yeah,
better to use them for like programming and that type of thing.
How does the MBTA 3A play into that, since that's a discretionary distribution of funds from the governor's office?
the good news is it hasn't impacted it. Thankfully, the MBTA zoning situation has not impacted it at all. Thankfully, I double checked with Lindsay. I checked in with her a little while ago to make sure it had arrived because there was a software issue where I couldn't see
Mhm.
if money had arrived in the account or not. I believe it has simply because they sent me verification and they let me know.
But that was fiscal year,
That was in December.
which fiscal year?
This fiscal year.
This fiscal year.
Yeah, 2025.
2026.
Sorry, Lindsay?
It was December 25, so FY 26.
FY 26, and we're being penalized going into 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've reached out to the Kate Engel. Yeah, Kate Merlin from the MPLC board. And she said it shouldn't be an issue simply because
Yeah, they're being very, it's one of these things where you don't know what going to be taken away.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause when you fill out the form, you have to
That's like the first thing. Yeah.
sign the box,
Right.
check the box and say, we are not in compliance
Not
with.
every grant application has that on it.
Okay.
no, this has no grant application. This is a gift given for towns that certify a library.
So it's not a grant.
Not a grant per se.
That's not.
It's called the incentive grant.
It's called the grant.
It is called the grant.
Right.
Well, the grants are what are getting hung up.
Yeah,
I'm
this
not
one,
sure the library ones are affected by it.
yeah, I don't know. We could look around the rest of the states, the other impacted communities to see if they're.
We looked early on, I know we looked, and it didn't seem like the library ones were being affected, but I think that might.
Yeah,
There's 9 communities that are left, right after 5, so we could probably cross-reference with those.
they're all on the list as being awarded their grants.
Okay,
There were only 2 towns in the entire state, I think, that didn't get a grant, and they were uncertified. And one of them is way out in Western Mass, and the other one is somewhere in North Mass, so I don't think it had anything to do with them. Yeah.
okay.
If I remember correctly, the majority of the funding might even come down from federal assets.
You could. I'd be interested in that.
That might be true.
Because the IMLS scare that happened last year made it so this year, when they rolled the grants out to everyone, it was the same amount.
Yeah.
Simply because they weren't sure if the IMLS money was going to be coming down or not. And since it did, they're looking at next year going back to giving out increasing fraternities.
You said this grant was done in halves, so if it's 725 wins, the next one's scheduled to be dispersed.
It would be the same time because I submit the ERIS report to the state and federal government in July, August, September. I do that in the finance report. The ERIS report is simply how many items circulated, how many people walk through the building. It's very time consuming, but it's not very intense. The finance report is when they say, did your town give you enough money for this fiscal year? And if they review it and find that, there's no falsities, everything's true, the money is all coming from a municipal appropriation, not anything else, then they send me the email. I think it was in December, and they say, we're sending you a check, you'll see it in 6 weeks, and you'll see a second one 3 months down the road, which is why we're expecting one this month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
If I may ask something, Dylan, can we sit and try to figure out, squeeze the sponge down to the last drop without losing accreditation? I know you tried, but I want to do the advanced metrics to try to get every last drop and maintain certification.
the main problem is like 367, 386 is it, since it's based on the previous fiscal years, I can't go back and change the amount that was given to the library those previous years.
Okay,
And when it comes down to it, we were essentially just like one of the main expenses the library was paying out of its municipal appropriated money was the sales membership, and we currently aren't. That was all cut out over time. We don't have a programming budget. I am going to potentially not have enough money to buy the supplies necessary for the library to get items to people and have them be protected. So there's really not much left to cut.
I hear you. No, I will want to tell the board that Dylan did a great job preparing his budget this year. It was very well detailed. He did all the work necessary. He did everything we asked. And I'm just, as the administrator, I'm just asking if there's any more squeeze in that orange left. And I'm going to be asking every department head that question over the next week or so. So it's not specific to the library or Dylan. It's going to be
It's an essential question.
yeah, so I mean, because I am wondering, I just was looking at the differences in the percentage increase, because I think we could get away with a negative number, because I don't see an increase of 5% or more. But if we can't go backwards, I would be potentially interested in the waiver process. Now, I do understand that we would have to jump back in with the years we missed, and that's probably where you fall behind. Because if you don't do the appropriate accounting, then you can fall behind. So if we were to get a waiver for 2 years, in 2 years, we would match 5%, not just 2.5.
I forgot to mention, the waiver period is a maximum of 5 years.
Maximum of 5
If you
years.
don't catch up within 5 years,
Yes.
they just desert.
So we had a meeting today internally, and we were talking about just a variety of things. And this was the waiver process was one that came up. So it's certainly one that we at least want to investigate, just to see if there is any potential savings. But we do know the pitfalls going down this road. We don't want to go down it unprepared, because in a couple of years, if we do go down this road, we want to make every effort to get that accreditation certification back as soon as possible. We hope that this is the bottoming out, and then we're coming back the other side next year. And that's the hope and the prayer. But again, this is nothing set in stone. Nothing has been determined. We're just making sure we investigate everything on the table.
The MAR is really the bottom line. And then the only other point I would make, and I know, it's something that you all know already, but in tough times, the library gets even more heavy users than ever.
Yes.
It's the one service in town that services every single, member of the community from 0 to, 110 years old. It's, it's not age specific. It's everyone. And with the quality of library we have right now, Dylan is doing an amazing job of milking every possible value out of the budget that we do have. And it's a tiny budget.
Yes.
The library budget is so small. Even a small cut to it makes a huge effect on the services. But I'm not sure, in the larger scheme of things, it's going to be, that would be my plea, to see it as, the maintaining what we have is of an extremely high value and it's a small investment financially.
Yeah, I would say the main reason as to why I also want to make sure we're able to keep all the staffing is the main area that I'm seeing statistical increase that's significant is in program attendance by far. In February, last month, we had 20% more program attendance, even though we were closed for 2 snow days, and we had 3 less events than in 2025 because snow day ruined a whole bunch of it. But it's just like more people are physically coming to the building to do things. I'm trying to diversify. I started a cooking club, and I'm shocked that so many people keep showing up. But it's just sort of like, this is just free programming we can do, and it seems to be the major pull. We're seeing a lot of new faces. We've had new card signups really like flying up. A lot of people are moving to Halifax, which is great. Like, come in here, come and use the library, because the main point I want everyone in the community to be aware of is the library is as great as you as a citizen allow it to be. I can't come forward and say patrons checked out so many items this year that they save the value equal to 2 or 3 times my budget, unless you're coming in and checking out items. And like the online usage in Halifax is ridiculous, where the people using our library online are not competing with neighboring towns that have the same size and budget scale like Berkeley. We have checkout numbers that are reflecting Boston, Taunton, Springfield, and Worcester. I even double checked. It's not so much that we have more people using the online collection. It seems like every town has an average of like 10%, 5 to 10% patrons using the online collection. It's simply the people in Halifax that are using the online collection are reading potentially 5 to 20 items a month, where I just have to say, I'm glad you have the time, but I'm glad we can help. And I'm glad we're being used. I can only hope we get the number higher.
Does our infrastructure allow for that increase in usage? So our systems are fine. We're not going to have to worry about costs associated with those this year?
Not this year, but I do know Scott has been talking to me about he wants to replace the roof. He's wanted to replace it for a while now. And some of the unique ice dams that formed during the January storm caused a little bit of damage. But Scott just changed his technique. With this new storm, they cleared off the roof and we haven't seen further leakage, which is great because having it rain and no water come in lets us know that the water leak situation is only when it's a winter only ice dam situation. So Scott changed his whole plan on how he deals with it so that we can hopefully get at least 3 more years out of the roof. Is his goal from last I spoke.
How old's the roof?
Told me it's due. It's over 20. So he was pretty happy that the roof is even in the state it's in. And not worse.
And the plumbing situation, is that rectified?
Not currently rectified, but I'd like to focus on how it gets better. Apparently I knew I started in July, but the previous summer Scott had over 26 reported calls to the library for clogging. This year we had 4. It mainly seems to just be an educational campaign work because people stopped flushing inappropriate products.
Okay.
We've had a few clogs, which I or Scott's people have unclogged. It's just being able to tell if it's a basic clog, because the two toilets can join in the back in a T-pipe formation. And it's like, if the clog's there, I can plunge it. If it's not, I have to call Scott and then worry about the cost. But thankfully, we only had 4 situations that actually required Scott and his guys to come out. So we're gonna hopefully just keep that information campaign up. We
Right.
have the baby changing station being separated from the bathroom helped a lot.
Big difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot easier to invest in diaper genies and diaper genie changing bags than everything else, which thankfully the Friends have sponsored the diaper genies. So that hasn't even come out of the budget.
I had one more clarification question. It came up during the discussion you guys had about the potential for the waiver in up to 5 years. I just want to understand if we had to go down that road and we were in the waiver period where we had a waiver for 3 years, you would remain certified during that time period?
We would remain certified. It just, we wouldn't receive the incentive grant, which currently I'm using to pay the bill to be a member of sales, which is a huge return. I actually just was on a task force with sales because they're reevaluating how they charge libraries because they haven't changed it since 2000. And yeah, we're in a situation where next year it's looking like we're actually going to be paying less, simply because they put a major weight on a historic cost, but not on usage. So libraries like New Bedford that were doing 10 times our actual like weight on the server weren't even paying 2 times what we paid. So I'm glad that that number is going to be going down. But as for the waiver process, we would remain certified, but the select board and the town administrator would spend December, January, and February going into Boston to go to hearings in front of the MBLC where they would ask, why weren't they certified this year? Why didn't you hit the MAR? And they would discuss that for about 3-month length, and then they would announce whether or not we were certified. I believe there were 8 libraries that just got certified in February because the MBLC found that although they were, not within the 5% MAR requirement, the waiver was acceptable. So they accepted them as certified libraries.
Then that clock starts ticking,
Yes,
5-year clock.
because they have to announce each one. I believe, I don't remember, I don't want to say Greenwich, but they're on the 3-year. So they have 2 years left to get that. Greenfield, sorry.
But you wouldn't get that grant that whole time that you'd be on the waiver process. Halifax would not receive that grant, that incentive grant.
You could potentially partial, or you wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Partial is only if you meet certain standards, which I believe are mainly if we were within a certain MAR percentage. I'm not too sure on that one.
We would be in big trouble if we didn't get those grants because you're paying for your membership to sales through them.
Yeah,
That is crucial. I mean, in a perfect world, the sales membership should be part of your operating expense the town pays for, but it's slid over to the grants and now, that places it in some jeopardy.
yeah. 'Cause the main benefit of the grant is it saves. So if something did go wrong with the roof, I at least have a way to assist in an emergency worst case scenario. But realistically, we like to use them for trying to do things that could overall make the library better. That might just sort of, be difficult in an operating year. Like, oh, we need all the shelving let go and we need to drop $10,000. That's not in my operating budget this year. Okay, I'll just turn it to the grant because patrons need the items to be shelved.
Anybody have any questions for the library?
Jim, I just want to say thank you. It's EJ. That was incredibly informative. I appreciate how thorough you were there, Dylan. And also thanks for the efforts you're making both in the building to try to make some savings as well on electricity and heat and things like that.
Yeah, we try our best. I mean, I want the library to get 10 times the usage. I'll see how we can get there.
Hey, good work, though.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dylan. That's been fun.
Thank you very much.
we're all in this together. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Have a great evening.
Have a good one.
That was fun.
That's what I like to say. I think, yes, that's what I'm saying.
See you around the neighborhood.
Give us a 5 when you leave.
Yes. Yeah, those Google reviews are very important for the finance committee.
All right, so that ties up the library. So next up on the hit parade is highway. So Steve, I see you are online. So want to go ahead and get started? Steve, if you're talking, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. You just want to do like regular and just go through each item because we have so many? Because most of them are level funded. There's only a couple that I'm asking for some money.
Well, let's start with the ones that you're looking for an increase.
If there's any.
That's a couple.
The first one will be 419 stormwater. When I met with Stephen and Mike and Lindsay, we're not sure how Cody moved money around because it went down to 100,000, but we need 144,000.
Huh?
And Stephen was going to talk to Cody at some point to find out where that money went or where we were going to get that from.
Yep, I have one with Cody tomorrow.
Okay. So that one basically is on hold.
I did not.
Oh, Steve, how much did we spend so far on stormwater this year?
We find it.
I have it here. I got you, Steve. Stormwater so far this year, we've got $35,606 plus another outside charge for outside consultant, 32,000 totaling $68,609. There's
Why such a big number on an outside consultant?
That's the engineer. So on these MS4, and I can take over for Steve on this just to explain this. I have a lot of experience dealing with stormwater in particular.
Thank you.
The town has contracted an engineer to oversee stormwater compliance. This is very common amongst municipalities and states because you need engineers to review the current infrastructure of what's in town to locate everything. And then they develop a plan in order for the DPW or Public Works to then go and fix certain items. Now they have to also identify point source and non-point source pollution. So there's a lot of engineering work. There's a lot of survey field work. And typically these are laid out in 10-year contracts, which value anywhere between about $100,000 to $150,000 per year. I've seen at least a handful of these in varying communities of the same setup and makeup. Basically it's a compliance issue because we need to comply with the Clean Water Act. This is where these regs come down from, is the Clean Water Act. This is all NIPD's National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit. It has to do with all the catch basins in town. It's very extensive and it's a ton of work. And when you don't have a robust DPW, you have to rely on outside services as well.
I understand that. So the consultant identifies X number of storm drains and is mapping all of that.
Yeah.
So every year he remaps everything?
Well, they're mapping everything that's currently in place.
Correct.
Yeah.
So once that legwork's done, that cost should go down on an annualized basis because the system already has it, correct?
Yep, so we would know where everything was, and then we would also have a list of things we need to address.
Understood. And that has to be done on a quarterly, semi-annual, annually basis.
Capital basis, typically. They're mainly capital projects, stormwater basins, catch basins.
But what about the inspections and stuff?
The inspections are ongoing, and they're part of these fees.
And who's doing those, the consultant or the town worker?
So does that with town staff present,
What's the town staff doing there?
observing.
And we help with the traffic And we have to, dig up, some of the manholes were paved over back in the day, and we have to dig up the manholes so they can get into the manholes to check.
So once we dig the manholes up, Steve, do we recover them back up because they're below grade and that creates a pothole situation?
Basically is what's going on. Yeah, we try to, if we can, we put a riser on them, trying to get them
Yes.
up. And then some of them have actually lowered a little bit with this year's winter. So now we're going to have to go back and dig them up. And we might have to go all the way to the base to put another not a temporary riser, a regular riser on it.
Right. So that's an ongoing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about, so we don't have any erosion control that we're monitoring and things of that nature under this?
No, just when we see it, we go out and fix it.
So we're not having to do post-storm 24-hour inspections?
No.
Okay.
Those typically come up, I mean, they will schedule the quarterly inspections with the sea rain event. Sometimes they'll schedule.
Correct, yeah.
See how they react.
Right.
But they're not scheduled specifically, typically.
Well, like I have inspections I have to do here at the highway barn and recycle quarterly. But that's myself. I don't involve the workers, so it's not costing us anything.
Yeah, so we're doing those inspections internally. That's what I was getting at on some of these inspections. That can be done internally. From my previous livelihood, we did them internally.
Yep, that's how we're doing that also.
Yeah, use the engineers to do the reporting and whatnot with the state.
Yep.
All right.
And just so you guys know, last year we had to put in a new detention pond over there at the elementary school as part of our stormwater things we had to do. And Kathy, my administrator, she actually got a $10,000 grant, which we used money toward that. So that saved the town $10,000. So that was nice when she did that. I was glad she got it.
Oh, okay. What else you got there, Steve?
Okay, other than stormwater, that we have all the salary is the COLA. On mine, only if the other elected officials get money, then I will want the same. But if they don't, then I will not take a raise. The highway wages for the full-time staff is the same. That's going to 366,000. That's because Jeff Torrey he's a full-time employee, 16 hours here at the highway and 24 up at the recycle center. And that's going up because of his step increase and the COLA. And then the rest is because
Steve, if he's working at the recycling center, is his wage coming out of the recycling center's budget or is it coming out of your budget? And if it
comes out
is,
of the recycle.
okay, so you'll be sharing the COLA with them?
So basically that's how it has been set up. He's been doing this for 3 years now. It started before he even started, but it's always right. It's always been, we pay so much of it and Sue pays the other part out of the recycle.
All right. Keep going.
And that could go down because we actually lost 2 highway workers last year that were up at mid steps. And now I have 1 employee's at second step and the other one started at step 1. So that decreases the actual amount that we will be spending. Hopefully.
Okay.
422 that's basically level funded again, the $6,771. 422 on the town roads, that's staying the same, 58,742.
Yeah.
That's
what you're
from.
423 snow and ice, that would be staying at level funded at the 177,509.
Steve, speaking of snow and ice,
You don't want to know.
yeah, I do want to know.
It's we're right now
I'd rather know now than later.
we're projecting right now we're going to be about 97,000 over budget.
97.
You can include another 40.
That's the high number we went with.
Right, you can add the rooftop being shoveled off at the elementary.
Is that what was going on over the weekend? The rooftop?
That was snow and ice.
Okay,
That
okay.
would fall under that.
I thought they were doing something in the quadrangle back there when I saw the crane. So that was a rooftop, and that's going against highway?
It's going against the snow and ice removal budget.
Within
Oh, that was,
highway?
whoa, time out. That was not talked to me about that. That's Scott. That should be building maintenance.
It's gotta come out of the snow and ice because it was snow and ice removal.
That has never happened before. Whenever building maintenance does something, they take it out of their money.
Well, when it comes to the state law of what we can deficit, it should fall under snow and ice. So we're gonna have to get the specifics of it.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, we're gonna have to talk about that one. So that's the first I've ever heard. That's the first I've ever heard of anything like that.
A rough number.
And Steve, I'm not talking about it coming out of the highway budget. I'm just saying, as far as the legal accounting for it moving forward, it's in order to pay for it out of potentially funds that could maybe be coming down from FEMA, we need to slide it into snow and ice deficit so it qualifies.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not saying it's coming out of your budget or going to be included in your budget. It's just that it needs to be
That's where it'll be.
lumped in with snow and ice.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that just was like a shock. Because I hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah, no. I didn't mean to scare you with that, so.
Never made me.
Either way it works. Either way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Either way.
All right, thanks. Thanks for the explanation.
Keep going.
Speeding again?
Steve, can I just
Anything
ask-
else on the snow and ice, Frank?
Yeah, Steve, I was just curious because I know what happened. There was a shortage, the whole thing. We got hit hard this year and it's been weighing on me for, 2 or 3 weeks. I was waiting to talk to you about it, but now I have an idea. So I appreciate that, Steve.
Yeah, and just so you know, the salt actually, even on the bid we're on with Plymouth, that went up, I think it was over 20 cents a ton this year. So that didn't help either.
Right. And then there was the shortage and
Yep. We got
Right.
lucky and I mixed some sand and salt to make us get through a little bit. So now we've got a few loads of salt and we're good to go for now.
do you think we have enough if we get one more storm?
Yes. And we had ordered, we're still waiting for an order from January. That's how far behind they are.
Okay.
So-
Thank you.
All right.
All right, so snow and ice, what was the next one here? Sorry, I put my paper down, I lost where I was.
You didn't put it down, you dropped it. Yeah.
That wouldn't be the first.
Thanks for Mr. Silvo, exactly.
All right, so now, the street lights, we went up because of the cost of electricity, what we're planning on that going up. That's went from 41 to 45, 317, that's for, line 424. And 424 traffic lights, that's staying the same, that's 75,000, or 7,500.
That's right.
426, highway maintenance, barn maintenance. That's staying the same, the 13,750. Line 425, highway equipment, maintenance, basically. That one, we are asking if we can go up 5,000. Right now, we have $9,911 left, and we still have 5 months to go in this year. And that is because as everybody knows, everything's going up, and our equipment's getting a little bit older. We still have some new stuff, but it's still, especially this winter, is killing us. So we're asking to go up that $5,000.
5,000 or 4,500?
Let me see. 57 is what we're asking, and it was 52.5. So
4,500.
yep, 45. Next will be reborn is nothing. Reborn is nothing.
Hey, Steve, can I just,
Oil and gas, account 471, we're gonna level fund that. That's for the, all the gasoline and oil for all the equipment in town, all the police, fire.
Yeah, Steve, I got a question on that. The price of the heating oil has jumped. We locked in for 27 on the current pricing, or that hadn't been negotiated yet?
That Scott, building maintenance took that over. We do just gas and oil for vehicles.
Okay, this is strictly the vehicles then.
Yes.
So what
And
about
that's the
gas?
same thing. We have, I signed up with, Plymouth County again. Well, this is new that we were going through the selectmen. Now we're doing it with Plymouth, and they have more towns involved, so we can sign on. Once a year, they do a contract with the lowest bid, and we can either go with them or we can go off on our own with the selectmen again.
Okay, the 110,000 that you have in here, is that based on the 27 low bid numbers through Plymouth?
That was a 26, yeah, 26, 27.
So we won't see an increase for fiscal year 27 then,
Exactly.
even with all of the situation going on in the Middle East right now.
Well, when we did the budget, no, we weren't planning on that going up. But
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
we could try to figure out a different price now, since we know there's an issue going on in the Middle East. But our plan was to level fund.
Steve, is that, because I think I'm a little confused with this, is that a contract for fiscal year 26, 27? Is that the pricing locked in, or is just the opportunity to purchase the lowest bid locked in?
It's we signed up with the whatever price. What it is every Monday they have a rack price at Boston and
It's a scale.
Rhode Island. And they lock in on that Monday, and then if we have to call, we get that price.
Yeah. So it's scale pricing fluctuates with the market conditions.
Exactly.
So, well, we can pretty sure we're going to see an increase in the cost of fuel, oil and gas, gasoline, diesel fuel, motor oil, all that. So I don't, level funding it, I don't think that's the number.
That's what I mean. If you want, I'll look into that more. But as of when I did the budget, we were going with the 110.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but because gasoline prices were up big time today.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'll do. I'll just mark this one and we'll look into that, see what we can come up with.
Yeah, we need to take another look at this line item for sure, Steve.
Yes, I will.
Steve, hold up one second. EJ, did you have a question still?
Yes, Steve, so just out of curiosity regarding the rest of this year, how are you guys in terms of, cleanup, pothole repair, things like that, once all the snow and stuff is gone?
Oh, we're still working on we still have enough money in our regular budget from the road maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're still good with that.
okay.
I'd
Thank
love to
you.
go up on that, but in reality, I know that will not happen.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so that's it for the highway, I believe. And then on the cemetery, the same for the stipend I give for the cemetery. If the other elected get 2%, I'd like to get the 2%. If they don't, I will not go for a raise. And the part-time wages, that would be just the 2% COLA if that happens. They still have to negotiate. I meant to say that with the employees for the highway also. The contract with the union is up this year, so they'll be negotiating the contract. For the
How many employees are at the cemetery?
one full-time cemetery.
One full-time. Does he split time with your highway department, or does he just do the cemetery?
This time of year, he's working a lot more with us,
So,
which helps out. Like we've had to delay, I think one of the funerals, the ladies had to postpone it. I think this is the third time she's had to postpone. But that's really not a big picture in the budget.
Okay. Okay, so the salary reflected here is just one person.
One person.
Yeah.
And that was all for the cemetery. And then Sue is out sick today, so she's not here for the recycle. I mean, we go over the numbers, but she's the one that has the answers for all of that.
Okay.
So you want to hear what she?
Yeah,
You want to hear
let's
the
talk.
numbers?
Yes, just 1 second, Steve. What do we want to do?
Contract's up this year, correct, on the trash?
Yes.
Yes, that's up to.
Do we have an idea where the numbers are gonna land on that?
We don't even know who's gonna bid for it, but now since we have our own totes, they should be. Hopefully, more companies will bid because we have totes instead of bags now.
Just so you guys know, I installed a 6% increase, just to be conservative, on last year's number, which was 397. 397, 175, was what actually Sue requested, because that was the current last year of the contract. So I figured that this incoming year being the first year of the new contract, probably be, even with the new totes, probably be about 6% more, which would come to about $421,000. So a delta of about $24,000 total.
And that doesn't include any of the recycling, that's strictly the trash services, correct?
Yes. Correct.
That's the trash.
Yeah. The trash.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Yeah, just I'm making sure that it didn't combine with the recycling, Steve, that's all, the number.
Okay.
The 6, Steve was, talking about.
Yes.
Steve, the line you just stated, is that less any revenue that we take in for the renewal of the residents for their totes?
So the way the budget works and money is shifted around on the budget sheet, I'm still learning where the connections are, but as far as I understand, there is obviously retained earnings that come back on both water and solid waste. Because there's also reserve funds that are set up by town meeting every year for water retained earning, water reserve fund. So generally, most of the time, these services take care of themselves. At least that's the way enterprises are set up.
Correct. Right.
And operate. Right. But we will have to see with a 6% increase, potentially, what our loss will be in revenue versus that 6%. And then we'll understand what the contract value was there.
When is that contract tied to what month?
So I'm gonna be, Sue put out the last time she did a contract for trash, it was done in February into March for the RFP, so I'm gonna be sitting down with her very soon. I just had Caesar pull the historic documents so I can put together the next RFP. So we should be going out on basically the same schedule that the town is used to, which is March, maybe try to get a quick turnaround, get April, May, but definitely in time for the next fiscal year, obviously, to get kicked off and get the new company into place, or even if it might be the same one.
Right.
With new terms, so.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for Steve? Steve, you have anything else for us?
Just the capital plan I put in for a new 1-ton. The truck we have is a 07, sorry. And the last inspection, they said this last September was the last time they were probably going to give us a sticker because of the rot that's on the frame and the body and everything. And I sent you guys a piece of paper today that has, within the last 24 months, 5 of the major things that have happened to the truck was the rebuilt front end, needed all 6 tires, complete wiper system, the front wheel bearing went, and the EGR valves to pass inspection. You had to redo that this last time just to get it to pass. And it also, this last year, it had to be towed in because of fuel pump failure. So the truck's on its last leg, and that's this is our main truck that we've used for filling potholes. It's got the hot box on the back. And come to find out, it's been overweight since we've had it when we were using the hot box. So that hasn't helped the life. Well, it's lasted, what is it, almost 20 years. And the 1-tons, we usually go 10 to 15 years. So we've got a long time out of that truck, but it's time for a replacement. I was trying to put it off for another year, but I don't think it'll make it another year. Well, I know it won't get an inspection sticker.
And you have that in your capital, Steve?
I turned that in today, yes. I didn't know we were going to be doing, I thought we've already missed it, but I turned it in today. I have the estimate from McGovern. They're on the MAPC and the GBPC contract. So they're pre-built trucks for the municipalities, and you buy what they have. And this is basically the same truck we bought 2 years ago, that white one that we bought.
Yeah.
Now it's $116,503 for the truck, and I put in for another $497 for lettering and anything else we needed to put on the truck after we get it. The radio system will switch from the old truck to the new truck, so that'll save.
Steve, the 116,000, is that just a cab and chassis, or does that include the utility bed on it?
That's the bed, that's the whole hydraulic system for the sander and the plow.
Yeah, so it's outfitted at that
So it's-
price.
it's out- that's everything we need to have the truck.
Right.
Steve, did you mention it was what, 94.6 last year?
Yeah, it's somewhere around that. And this is the identical truck, and it's up to 116.
That a 250 one ton or
No, the 550. We have 350s that are all that they don't carry the weight we're carrying in them. That they weren't built for what. I mean, they're
Yeah,
a nice
no,
truck, but they're not heavy duty like we need.
So the 550 will have a beefed up rear section
Beefed
on
up
it.
rear end and everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Even with the 350, that's got the better rear end, but it's not enough for the equipment that we put in there. The hot box, you're talking 2.5 ton of asphalt. So right there's over 6,000 pounds. That is probably like 3,000 over what we should have in it.
But the
And if you look at
suspension
the truck when it's driving down the road, it sits.
handle it.
It's not good.
The suspension from the 550 will be able to handle that unit.
Yes, that's what we have now. And we've had that full, we actually put the hot box on it one time just to use that, and it handled it no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we haven't been able to fill the hot box. We end up getting 1.5 tons, which is, it's kind of stinks because we're making another trip back up to Avon to pick up the hot mix. So,
So that's.
and like I said, that's off of the basically one of the contracts through the what is it, the Greater Boston Police Commission or whatever.
Yeah, you got an upgraded frame and suspension, yeah, rear axle.
So which one are we talking? He's talking about.
Yeah.
So he wants a 2028 one also?
Well, you better ask him.
He's looking for a 26.
This one that I have that they have is a oh, that's my last one. 2000. $2,026
Yeah.
Super Duty F550.
Yeah. But that's capital plan, right? Have you updated your 5-year capital planning sheet, Steve?
Have I? No,
Have you?
no. Nope. Every time I keep on saying I'm going to start doing that, and I just something else comes up, and then we get to this time of year, and I just start going. So I do have the paperwork right here that Steven sent out, or Lindsay, somebody sent it, and I was talking to Kathy the other day, and we're going to start. We're going to start putting that together.
Okay.
Because it will make everybody's life easier, so that you guys can see what we need, and we can have it on that for you.
But it would be helpful for the town to be able to plan correctly when we have
Yep.
your.
Exactly. I understand that. So yes, we will be putting that together.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions for the highway department?
Good. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
See
thank
ya.
you. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Steve.
Bye.
Okay, so that takes care of the highway department and the library. As we can see, the school is not here. The budget was sent out to everybody today for us to have a look. They're looking for a 6% increase, which is 5% more than the 1.4% they said they needed. 3 months ago in their presentation. So hopefully, I know that Steve is, neck deep in that with them. I think there's some conversations that need to be had. With the 60% increase in special education transportation, along with some other kind of funny looking numbers, I think, throughout the rest of the budget itself. I haven't had enough time to look at it completely and do any kind of analysis on it, because I like to look at last year, the year before, the year before that to kind of get a run rate. So I I'll put that together myself and work through it that way.
Jim, same here. I only breezed through it briefly, so I haven't had a time to take a deep look at it either.
Yeah. And I think it's something that we need to examine, because it's going to be, so I think last year it was an $800,000 increase, I think.
7.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So,
700.
I'm sure there are things that need to be addressed that they are legally obligated to do. Absolutely understand that, contracts, et cetera. I think there's a couple of things out there now, so far as the school goes, with I think the idea that was presented by the Silver Lake School Committee, using the defer or the
Mortgage.
the mortgage come off and continue to pay that. So they've had this list of immediate items for at least a year that have gone unaddressed. So there's a kind of a question around that, at least in my head, that I think needs to be ferreted out a little bit. So hopefully, let's take some time over this next week and have a look at everything. And then we can come back with questions that they can do our next. We will re-invite them to our next meeting and perhaps the business manager, I think, is the appropriate entity to have here, not so much the principal at this point. Which again, when we get here and have her answer some questions, I think that would benefit everybody, because we do have to then in turn take this back to the residents and help them understand why it's going up the way it is. And where cuts will have to be made. I think cuts will have to be made this year if there is no override, and I don't believe it's going to be
When is our
pleasant. Right?
deadline for determining yay or nay for an override?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all I have to say on the school, which takes us actually to the town administrators.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my update tonight will just be more of what Jim was talking about. We are knee deep in what the mountain is, and now we're trying to climb it. All things said conservatively, that when we announced the deficit, it kind of started at a very large number and kept shrinking. We ended up between 1.1 and 1.4 million, with the reason being 1.1 is if you leave zero room up to the levy, which would mean you collect everything and leave yourself with no breathing room, which would mean next year you're in a really tough spot. So with the breathing room, you're looking at more than $1.4 million deficit to close, to provide a balanced budget heading into next year, and thus take the free cash that's coming in, which is estimated to be at about 1.1 to 1.2 million. That number should become official on March 15th when it is scheduled to be certified. So
Steve, can I cut you off real quick right there? Sorry. How does the school's numbers that we're looking at now for the first time factor into that variance of 1.1 to 1.4?
put it this way, I'm looking at a number right now between 560 and 860 that's incorporated my cuts and my suggestions through various meetings over the last week plus, which leaves about 860 on the table to get down to zero. I've got a little bit more to investigate on the general government and public safety and everything we deal with over here on our side. But when it comes down to the schools, this is essentially the number that was settled on last year. And we're back at that square, right? I think that's going to end up being sort of the neighborhood that we're looking for from them. Now, when it comes to what we've gotten from them, we've received the same budget items that you guys have received. So we need to have more conversations and more transparency with the administration over at Silver Lake. Not only Silver Lake, the regional school district, but also the elementary school. And
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
I plan on working with Lindsay, and reestablishing the relationship between the town of Halifax and the school department and at large, the Silver Lake Regional School District, because there's no reason why we can't work together and have a more clear picture for everybody involved year in, year out when it comes to the budget process. This would be a lot easier process if we could all just be transparent about what our books showed. And I think right now, it's not because I don't think anyone's being nefarious. I just think a lot of new people have entered the situation. We've got myself, we've got new people at the school district, we've got new people, the principal started in September. So there's a lot of new bodies and moving parts. So we all want to start off square and clean with a clean slate and make this relationship work. So that's something me and Lindsay are going to work on moving forward. We've actually, as of today, reached out to get a meeting with Dr. Cole and Bethany Hatton with the Silver Lake Regional School District and Brian, hopefully before we meet next week with you guys again. So it's moving in the right direction. Now, we still need a lot more information regarding FY27 from the school department this year. And hopefully we can get that as well when we sit with them. Because like I said, we've taken essentially 1.4 down to 8 to 9. And I'm running out of places to go. And I mean, we have one department here tonight where we were probably asking questions in most normal years we wouldn't ask, but we have to ask them this year because we're in those dire straits. We have to ask Dylan, what is the waiver process about?
Right.
And then after he explained, I don't know how much we can actually save there. Because it's 5%. It's nothing on a $300,000 budget.
18 grand, yeah.
So I don't know what you could do, and do you really create just more work by doing anything?
Right.
To get back, you spend more trying to get it back than cutting right now. So
Yeah.
these are going to be tough decisions. And they're going to be, I hope that department heads know that it's going to be fair, it's going to be equitable. We're looking, like I said, we're looking at everybody. We're looking at every department. I shouldn't say everybody, we're looking at every role. You know, because again, I think at the end of the day, people have to realize these are roles, not people.
That's right.
It's tough for humans to differentiate that. But these are roles, not people, unfortunately. So what I will say that also came out of the meeting today is that by the end of the day on Thursday, I will be giving my suggested budget to the selectmen and you all for your review in preparation for next week's joint meeting. So you will both have that. That was a request from Jonathan. He wanted to make sure that you guys had enough time to review it before you sat together next week. You know, for the very
Are
end.
we meeting next week or the 24th? I thought it was the 24th.
I thought it was next week. But then didn't we change it?
Yeah, let's get older. So, let's see what we could say.
I had March 9th.
Yeah, I have March 9th as well.
For the joint meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were going back and forth between the 16th, 24th, or the 9th.
yeah,
That we said all the things.
that's what I have for the Giants as well.
Right with the
The
9th.
9th.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So that's next Monday.
exactly.
Joint
Correct.
meeting with the select-
Which seemed awful.
They're gonna come, oh, right, they're gonna come
They're
here.
coming here.
Joint meetings,
Yeah,
yes,
next Monday, 16th.
Yep.
yeah, that's what I have. Yep.
Because then by their next meeting, we have to decide on which ballot article items are going to go on.
Yeah,
So that will be the night where we officially decide. And I think the seeds were planted last year. An override is 100% necessary.
Mhm.
It's just a question of how big.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be big. No, it's gotta be.
yeah,
Because, and we're gonna see what the residents really want, because that's the job of, myself, and the rest of the administration. And I've got a team here we're gonna put in the legwork, we're gonna get the message out. It's not gonna be for a lack of trying, that's for sure.
yeah.
But we're looking at, an override for sure this year. We're gonna need a lot of support getting this out to the residents, obviously, in a series of public forums. We're gonna do them at all, at all different times so folks can come and take part. We're gonna do day sessions, we're gonna do some sessions at night, hopefully in schools, to get school parents to come out. Because we need everybody to see what this potentially means and to have them make their own decisions because it's their lives and it's their daily lives that they're talking about. So I wanted to provide that update for you tonight. I don't have anything else really of substance, but to tell you that we're obviously all working very hard on this. And we're not gonna stop working hard. So, I mean, sign up for this and we're gonna make it work.
Very good. Anybody have any questions for our town administrator?
Appreciate the work, appreciate the clarity and the transparency. It's been great. No, it's really,
The budget's you're gonna send it to us on Thursday?
And the day Thursday, we'll all get it so that you can review it. Preparation for Monday.
I'll be in my room until Monday.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So again, thank you, Steve. Appreciate all the hard work. I know you're got a lot going on, and especially getting settled in. So I think you're doing a great job. So
Exactly.
So that takes us out of the town administrator updates into correspondence, and as may arise, I have not gotten any emails from anyone in the town or residents to be discussed here. So they'll move to the second portion of that, which is as may arise. So I know 2 weeks ago we talked about the government study committee and putting some articles on the warrant. So that's the selectmen met on Thursday and voted to put 5 things from that the government study committee has presented to them on the warrant as for the town to vote on, and then there's a few that go actually to the ballot. So we'll just talk about those real quick. There's 5 total. We're trying to, so just as an overview, the government study committee has been meeting since September of 2024. We've been meeting at least once a month. We've met with every town department head to talk about what they do, how they do it, what they could see as something working better, and their suggestions as to how we can improve things. So far as the functionality, charter versus just bylaw strictly, and those kinds of things. So again, we put 5 articles together, or 5 items to be put onto the warrant. So the first one is to move the office of the town clerk from elected to appointed. So that's currently an elected position. We would like to move that to being appointed. I could certainly read through the language if you want, but that's really the gist of Article A. Article B is to move the office of the town treasurer collector from elected to appointed. Okay, so that's Article B. Article C, to move the office of the town highway department superintendent from elected to appointed. Again, that'll take the town has to vote on these at town meeting, then it goes to the ballot to be voted on a second time in the following election.
Those are all separate.
They're all separate.
Not combined like it was 3 years ago. That's correct.
That's correct.
So you can individually vote on them.
Yes, they'll all be voted on individually. Article D is to rename the Board of Selectmen to Select Board. So just removing the term selectmen out of all the bylaws, using select board member, not selectmen, just to be a little more welcoming and bring it up into 2026. Okay. And then the last one, which is a home rule petition, which is to change the water commissioner's role from elected to appointed. Okay, so I think that's those. I think water is something that a lot of the townspeople are concerned about, and I think this is something that they certainly would like to, that they most likely would see. Right. So just a couple of quick notes on it. So for a majority vote at the town meeting is required for the adoption of Articles A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. The majority vote at the annual town election is required for the changes to take effect with regard to Articles A, B, and C. Okay, so the last 2 are just the town meeting votes on it, and then it's It's off to the Attorney General to make sure it is the legality of it, and then it gets returned to us as an effective policy.
So the water commission one doesn't go to the ballot box, it goes to the town meeting only.
Correct.
Okay.
Articles A, B, and C require, in addition to the town meeting vote, the ballot question to be voted on by the voters only at the town elections, right? Any vote by a special town meeting to change a position from elected to appointed shall take place at least 60 days prior to the acceptance of the voters at the annual town election. That is according to Mass General Law 41, Section 1B. No home rule petition or charter amendments is required except as in Article E, which requires a home rule petition to the Massachusetts legislature because the election of water commissioners specifically is required by Halifax's Water Act.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
The change applies regarding the first three. The change applies prospectively. So current elected officials will fill out their term.
Yeah.
When their term expires is when an appointed individual will be put in place. So there's no one being ousted when these get voted, should they pass.
Right. Good.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Any questions?
Just for the record, Jim, who was on the board, on your government studies board?
Tom Pratt, selectman, is chairing the board. Mary Gravenese is on there. Kelly Sellers, I think her last name is. Myself and Mark Dillon. So we had one more member. Two left. Mark Dillon filled the third role. And actually one left. The other, passed away.
Wow.
Hey, Jim, will there be a presentation at town meeting kind of walking through how those recommendations were arrived at?
What we're probably going to do is, so each one of us on the committee is going to do like a 5 or 10 minute, not even probably 10, probably like 5 minute video that's going to go on the town website just to talk about the article itself. Tom Pratt may do something to talk about the process in and of itself. I mean, there's still a lot more work to do, to be quite frank. These are just 5 things that we thought were probably the priorities that needed to be taken care of first. Because then, when we're talking, this has nothing to do with like charter versus bylaws versus, representative government versus selectmen versus whatever. So these are just this is what I would say is probably low hanging fruit when it comes to, government work.
Making us more efficient, yeah.
Yep.
And all the votes are simple majorities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good work.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks for your time on that one.
Well, the committee's going to go on for a while. Anybody's welcome to join. We have an open seat. It's recruiting.
Bring the kids.
Why does he keep looking at me when he says that? I knew I should have sat over there where the administrator is. Now I know it's this. That's it, the hair. The hair is hair. Yeah, I understand. I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. Any questions?
No.
Okay, so we'll close out the correspondence and as may arise, we go into public participation. So we'll open it up for anyone from the public if they have any questions for the Finance Committee or regarding any of the items that have been on the agenda this evening. Very good. Hearing none, we will close out the public participation section and move on to next meeting planning. So next meeting is next Monday at 6 p.m.
Yep.
We will be here in person. And we will be a joint meeting with the selectmen and we will be walking through the presentation of the budget by our town administrator.
They'll be in the great hall.
Probably in the great hall.
Just a little more room.
Yeah.
Great hall.
Excellent.
Yep.
Great hall. Yeah.
Okay.
Great hall for a great meeting. Yes.
All right.
Pretty great.
That's
I
great.
think that brings us
Great
to
night.
the close of our current agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Very good. Roll call vote. Cheryl?
Yes.
Mike Bennett?
Yes.
Frank Johnson?
Yes to adjourn.
EJ?
Yes.
Mike Regina?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Yes as well. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
attending.
you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Everybody. Thanks, Lindsay.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.